your name for the record?
Jack Kowalski.
May I approach with 2365-001, Your Honor?
Sure. Can we publish it?
Just put it out on the screen.
Oh,
Want me to turn it?
yes, and actually put it back down on the ground.
Sure.
But let's not make it on the cord.
Okay. Does it go on?
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
there you go. Awesome. Well, you still have another cord under it.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, I believe it's about the feed, the video TV feed is going to be able to pick up the exhibit.
I just switched it, so you tell me if it's fixed.
I will let you know. Look at that.
I'm breaking technology left and right, aren't I?
Fine. You're doing great. You can put it back later.
I told you I'm not a TV director. Mr. Anderson, you may proceed, and Mr. Whitney wanted the Exhibit 2365. What page, what, number 1 was it, Mr. Whitney, that you wanted up?
1, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. 2365-1.
May I please, Clerk?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Jack Kowalski.
Where do you live?
I live in Venice, Florida.
Are you the father of Maya Kowalski?
Yes, I am.
During the time of her stay at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital between October 7th, 2016 and January, I think, 13th or 14th of 2017, did you visit your daughter frequently?
Yes, I did.
And during those discussions, did your daughter relate to you certain unsettling or troublesome issues regarding the way she was being taken care of?
Yes, she did.
And did you then, at or near the time, record these in a note for future reference and memory, and to point out the different abuse and threatened abuse against your daughter?
Yes, I did. I documented every time I went for a visit.
And is this trial exhibit 2365-001, was this completed at or near the time of a visit?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when?
I usually jotted it down on a piece of paper, and then I would type it when I got home.
So this is the typed referral of it.
That's correct.
And in this, did your daughter state, among other things, that she was scared to talk to the judge in court because she was worried about...
Mr. Anderson,
Yeah.
I'm going to want him to testify as to what she said. I don't want leading as to what she said. I think
Right,
I cannot have leading on this one.
I understand. What did she tell you at the time that you recorded this?
Well, anytime she felt there was a problem, she would tell me or write it down on a piece of paper.
And was she coerced in any way, or was this voluntary?
No, that was all voluntary.
And this is offered? Was this offered? What was the word I was looking for? Sorry. Was this volunteered?
She initiated it and gave it to me. She wanted me to know.
And can you relate what she related to you as best you recorded it using this to tell us?
Yes.
In terms of, and I know there's a lot there, but in terms of abuse, neglect.
How she would tell me, or I'm
Just
sorry.
what she would tell you.
She would tell me, if there was a problem, how she's being treated, things like that. And then also she would write it down on a piece of paper and give it to me also.
What were the types of abuse that she told you about on the visit that resulted in this recording?
Okay. I could read a couple here just to give you an idea.
Sure.
Well, I need you to tell me what she told you.
Tell us verbally what she told you that prompted you to go home.
She was stating that she was having issues within the hospital that she didn't agree with, that she felt that they're not doing appropriate things.
And can you describe more the inappropriate things that she was doing that caused you concern that your daughter was being abused or neglected?
Yes, there was incidents where the social worker was hugging her, kissing her, making faces while Mom was on the phone with Maya, the supervised phone calls. She would make expressions, things like that. The social worker, she told Maya that Mom's in the hospital getting mental treatment. There was a doctor, I believe it was Elliot, stated that Mom was put Maya in comas every week at home. And it was just on and on. I mean,
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about her need for medication and what doctors informed her concerning that need for medication?
Should object to the meeting.
I can't have leaving at this point.
What, if anything, did Maya relate about her need for medication?
there was an incident that I could remember. The doctor said it was all in Maya's head. That she didn't need medication. It's hard to remember all these.
And what, if anything, did Maya tell you about her need?
She was in pain.
Conversation about her need for medication.
She was in pain. She needed medication.
Move to admit.
Brief cross-examination.
Yes, and then I'll probably have questions, so go ahead.
Well, if Your Honor has questions first, you're welcome to. I didn't mean to cut Your Honor off.
No, I'll wait till after you're done, because if you cover what I'm going to ask, then better for you to do it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kowalski.
Good afternoon.
That you had testified a moment ago about having a visit. What date was that visit, sir?
I would have to look at the document. I don't know the exact date now.
The description you had of Maya telling you that someone was hugging or kissing her, do you remember what date that was?
You know, I have a journal that I wrote in, and that was all my notes were turned in to my attorney, and I believe you have a copy as well. And that does have the dates of all those incidents.
The discussion of people making faces at Maya, do you know at what point in the hospitalization that was?
It's within my notes. I do not know the date top of my head.
The discussion of the doctor disputing whether Maya has pain, do you know what doctor that was?
No, I do not on that.
And what's marked here for the court as PLT 034197, would it be true that you do not have an approximation as to when you generated those notes?
Not at this time, I do not, no. But like I said, you could find all the dates within that journal that I made up. You will find all the dates.
I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Did you bring that journal with you, by any chance?
I do have mine, yes.
May we approach
It's in my
May
bag.
refresh his recollection?
If it refreshes his recollection, that's fine. Now, before you show it to him, you got to show the defense.
This has been previously produced on numerous occasions and used, I
Let's
believe,
just show it to
at
the
deposition.
Well, which note? These are not his.
Some are his, some are not his. I'm going to have him turn to those that are either typed or in his handwriting.
Respectfully, I still haven't seen a note that you claim. There's a book of several hundred pages. Most of those are not his writing.
He has testified previously that he took handwritten notes.
I have to
and
interject
typed.
because it's leading on this issue.
What we're talking about at this moment is refreshing the recollection. And that's all we're talking about. And pretty much he can look at anything if it's going to help him refresh his recollection. Now, certainly you can look at whatever's being shown to him. And then you'll be able to ask him questions about it. But perhaps if that's his journal or something he has compiled, perhaps it's best for him to figure out where in there we're talking about.
Right. I'm very well aware of the broadness of refreshing witness recollection. What was handed to me looks like about a 400-page notebook, of which in skimming it, none of it is his writing.
Well, here's his writing, so that's inaccurate.
Well, you,
That's why we said we were going to have him identify it.
All we're trying to do is right now figure out the date. Mr. Kowalski says it's in his journal. So let's show him his journal and let
Jack figure it out.
Mr. Kowalski figure out what we're talking about as far as the dates. And then we can show everybody the specific page or pages.
showing him before you refresh his record. And you're representing the court that that's his handwriting?
I am about to, if I can ask the witness. May I throw it, Your Honor?
Yes, but let him figure out. All we're doing is giving it to him. You don't need to ask any questions. Let him figure it out.
Thank you. That's my handwriting.
The issue is, you said that you needed your journal to
Yes, sir.
remind yourself of the dates, so
Okay.
let's figure that out first.
It's going to take a while, just so you know. Sorry.
I have a suggestion. Since the other two will likely require the same thing, may we have the witness go through them and we can then move on to 2 or 3 other matters in the interest of time, or you want me to
I
wait?
want to address this issue first.
Yes, sir. No. I gave it to him too. Mr. Kowalski, given the statements made within there,
Time out. No questions. Let him figure out the issue of the date.
Okay. Let's see. That's not it. I didn't really look at this list. Do you want me to compare it to the, or just come up with some of them? I mean,
You said that you needed to look at this journal to remind you of the dates that Maya told you the statements that we
sure.
that you just told
Okay,
us about.
I got some handwritten notes from her. I'll go to that. I'm sorry.
Mr. Reyes can tell you the issue that's going on.
A lot of pages.
Court IT to the rescue. Thank you.
Okay, I found her notes. There's no dates on them, so I'm sorry. I'm going to go back and keep looking and see when those were from. I don't know exactly what's on here, but okay, here on let me get the date. Okay, here, Friday, December 2nd, 2016, PLT 035171.
Friday, December what?
I believe it was December 2nd, Your Honor. Let me check. Yes, 2016.
Whatever page you have that refreshes your recollection, why don't you just show Mr. Shapiro and Mr. Anderson that?
This is one of them. I'm sure there's more.
Come on down, Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you, sir.
You want me to keep looking for more? Or?
I think for now, no. Let's
Okay.
just keep going, Mr. Anderson.
Have you had your memory refreshed as to a day? Strike it. Did Maya keep reminding you through the course of your?
Object to the leading, Your Honor.
Yeah, you can't have leading.
How often would Maya remind you once an incident happened?
Same leading, Your Honor.
How
Roll
often?
that one.
She would state several times on certain, occurrences or episodes in reference to her phone and things like that.
And so, have you determined a date when the majority, if not all, of these in the submitted exhibit were related to you?
I don't. I'm sure it was various dates, but I do not recall the date on this this piece of paper here.
What, if anything, happened on Friday the 2nd in 2016?
There was incidents on that.
And did you record that at the time?
No, not on those.
How do you know that there were any of these taken down, these notes taken down as of Friday the 2nd of 2016, the date you had previously given us?
This was in my journal. I just documented. I had a problem from the first visit. We drove up there and we were denied, and that was an hour to travel up there. We were denied, and I didn't want to cause problems, so I just kind of bit my tongue and went home. And I figured by documenting, that's how I started documenting everything.
All right, so in terms of what's written on the exhibit and your handwritten notes, can you identify for the court whether those notes were transcribed, doesn't mean to be all, but those notes were transcribed on Friday the 2nd, 2016?
Yes, yes, that is correct. Whatever date it was documented, that's the date it happened, yes.
And it was your routine practice to
Object to the leading, please.
Sustained.
What was your practice regarding these notes to make them clearer and more legible?
There's times I wrote it on a little piece of paper. As you could probably see on the first page, that's when it first started. They were just tiny little, could I hold it up or no?
If you want to.
Okay, just tiny little pieces of paper. So and by just scribbling on there, it's hard to read, and probably later on I wouldn't be able to read it. So I would type it out and then date it.
And did this did this become your practice as time went on with these notes?
All the time, yes.
And was it did it become a routine for you?
Each and every visit.
Questions, Your Honor?
Mr. Shapiro probably has questions.
If I understand your testimony, sir, the document that we've been provided seems like a compendium of different things that you've retyped from various aspects of your notes over time. True?
True.
Okay. And just to be clear, the exact date of the exhibit 2365001, when that was prepared, in fairness, you don't know the date that was prepared. True?
That most likely is true, yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, let me ask you a series of questions. So, what I wrote down as far as the statements that you are relaying to us that Maya told you, and this is in regards to 2365 and 2365 only, was one, that a social worker hugged and kissed Maya and made faces when Maya was on the phone. The second statement would be that the social worker told Maya that Maya's mom is in the hospital getting mental treatment. The third statement that Maya told you is that Dr. Elliott told Maya that her mom was putting Maya in a coma each week. And then the fourth one, and my notes are a little unclear, so correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think you said Dr. Elliott said something to Maya that all of these items are in Maya's head.
I believe it was Dr. Elliott. I could be wrong on that. I could go through my notes and find it. But yes, I made these notes after her talk.
And the December 2nd date of 2016, is that the date when Maya told you these four statements, or were these four statements told to you at other times?
Those would be the day that I was notified.
Well, you're saying passive voice. When did Maya tell you?
On that date of visit.
And tell me about that date of visit. What was going on? Who was present? Paint me a picture, if you will.
Maya liked going out of the room as much as possible because she was in there all day, confined to that. A lot of times we would go down to the lobby. She would play piano, go to the rec center when she was physically able or had the strength. Sometimes just going in the hallway or just going to get some food down in the cafeteria. She would bring things up.
And was there any supervision of your visits on this December 2nd date?
I honestly couldn't tell you from the top of my head.
Do you have any recollection as to, besides you and Maya, if anyone else, when I say was there, was within earshot of your discussions with Maya?
No.
No, there wasn't, or no, you don't remember?
No, there wasn't. I believe there wasn't.
Maya was 10 at this time?
I believe
or
so.
Or just about ready to turn 11?
December 10th is her birthday, so.
So she was almost 11.
Yes, sir. And, Your Honor, all these notes were produced to Deborah Salisbury when that all took place.
That's fine. Right now I'm just trying to get at what you remember. Okay. Is there anything else, and I'm going to turn it over to the lawyers for additional information from this witness about this issue, and then we're going to move on to the next one, which is 2380.
I think it would help if I knew what which issue the court would like me to pursue.
Well, right now we're talking about the statements that Maya allegedly made to Jack Kowalski that are encapsulated in your Exhibit 2365.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about Kathy Beatty?
Number one, she did not like her.
What else? Tell us everything you can remember that Maya told you on this date about how Kathy Beatty treated her.
Well, like I said, there's times she made smirks in front of Maya during the phone conversations. She stated that she placed her on her lap. I never gave consent, by the way, on that. She stated that she used to come in, slap her leg to see if she was in pain. She said that she wanted to adopt her, that her mother was in a mental home, so she could be like her mother while she's in the hospital. There was a time that Maya was on her school computer. She said, "You're probably searching sex websites." She's a 10-year-old girl. I don't think they would know how to go on there. I know Maya was upset about the dress, missing, and that ended up being Kathy's office.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then we had the pictures. Maya told me that if she didn't get the pictures, she was unable to go to court, according to Kathy Beatty.
What else did Maya tell you that Beatty said about going to court?
She was scared. If she challenged Kathy, she was scared that she would not be able to go to court.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about the hospital and what she did not like about it in this conversation, as you recall?
Well, number one, she didn't get her treatment. She was distant from her family, and it was difficult to communicate with her family, including going through her lawyer. It sounded like there was, she was scared. And she wasn't getting the proper treatment, so.
May I approach? All right.
Stop.
It's a minefield here.
No,
May I approach?
This one. Can't really read it.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about attempts to stand her up out of the wheelchair?
What did Maya say to Kathy?
No,
Or
this
how-
is in general.
Well, number one, she couldn't stand up. There was a time, one of those third
I'm
party.
sorry, Mr. Anderson. I need the statements that you are trying to admit under
Right.
child victim hearsay that Maya made to Jack Kowalski. That's what I need to focus on.
I understand. What, if anything, would the nurse do when the phone rang, insofar as observation of Maya?
Number one, the phone was moved far away from her bed. It would ring.
Mr. Anderson, maybe we're not communicating. This is statements that Maya made to Mr. Kowalski. I need to
Right.
know the specific statements that Maya said to Mr. Kowalski and the circumstances surrounding those statements.
What did Maya tell you, and what was the context regarding the way the nurses responded to the phone ring?
I object to the leading again. Your Honor.
Sustained on the leading.
What, if anything, happened on this date insofar as Maya relating to you an incident with. What did Maya say about the phone?
It's still, I apologize, it's still leading your life.
That's not.
I agree.
What?
Yes, that was a leading.
What else did Maya tell you that day?
There was a time she reported the phone did not work. I did take that to the attention to one of the nurses, and like after a day, I believe it was fixed. But a lot of times the phone was far away from the bed.
I think that's all that covers it, Your Honor.
Since you're up, and so we are not keep doing it, is there anything else that you want to address with respect to Trial Exhibit 2380, which is number 5 on the motion?
Right. One final series of questions. Where were you when these statements were made by your daughter to you?
Within the hospital, like I said, it could have been in a room, it could have been down in a rec center or a cafeteria, things like that.
Your Honor, were you referencing, should I then ask about the other exhibits as well? Or?
Yes, let's just finish it out so that we can try to bring some
May I approach, Your Honor?
you may.
Or actually, we can put a. This is Trial Exhibit 2380-008. Now, what date were these notes made?
Here, I see Friday, January 6th, 2017.
Look above it, and from what Maya told you, is it true for that part of the memo as well?
No, that would probably be another date up above.
Can you tell us approximately? Can you tell us what date?
Could I look here real quick?
Absolutely.
It's probably. Okay. Friday, January 6th.
The top, Mr. Anderson, most likely is not going to qualify under child victim hearsay. I'm not sure you need to spend time on the top.
Agreed.
It's the bottom.
Mr. Kowalski, don't worry about the
Okay.
time on that one.
Okay.
On the one on Friday, January 6th, 2017, where were you when did Maya tell you anything about abuse in that visit? First question is, did she?
She did report it to me.
And so let me ask you then, were her statements voluntary?
It was voluntary on her side, yes.
How soon after did you transcribe these into 2380-008?
I usually did it right away.
Within 24 hours? Or
Yes.
And what did Maya tell you on that day regarding any abuse towards her?
I'm trying to find out how this might have been, I could be wrong, but maybe my brother is the one that transported her. He reported it. I could be wrong, but I forgot how this information.
Did Maya tell you this directly?
Not on that day. I was unable to talk to her.
Withdraw.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that was the day of the court, correct?
May I approach as to exhibit the last one, 2380-013? That's it. 2380-013. Actually, you can see it there.
Yes. Yes, these are what I was talking about earlier.
When, to the best of your knowledge, did Maya tell you about this? And if it's multiple dates, fine.
What's the dates number on this?
2380-013.
Bates.
Bates number is plaintiff's.
Sir, thank you.
Mr. Anderson, I don't know the date, but it is. I know it is in this booklet. The dates.
Go ahead. If you can find
Okay.
the date, we need the date.
Okay.
The best you can do, judging from what's being said. As you're checking there, Mr. Kowalski,
Yes.
I noticed there are some repeats here. What, if any, of these were, again, told to you on the Friday 2nd, 2016 date?
The Friday what? I'm sorry.
The Friday the 2nd, 2016 date that you just testified to as to many of these.
(2016), you stated?
What's on the screen,
I'm not seeing the date on there.
I understand.
Okay.
We're trying to establish it.
Yeah.
So, were any of these, because you've already testified to many of them on Friday the 2nd, 2016, did Maya tell you one or more of these? What did Maya tell you?
A lot of these were earlier than that.
Okay.
Do you have the scared to talk with the judge?
Okay. What else?
I believe the computer incident was earlier than that. And
It's not so much when they occurred, it's when Maya told you about them. Did she relate these?
Oh, it was before that.
Okay.
Before that Friday.
Can you find us the date before the
Yes.
Friday, December 2nd?
She made little handwritten notes, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm sorry. There's a lot of pages.
Is there any way you can tell us just when the visit before this occurred?
Before, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, respectfully,
Before you took down
Hold on a second,
this,
Mr.
well, before this one?
Mr. Anderson, hold on a second.
I understand the importance of this issue, but respectfully, it appears we're at the point where he's trying to refresh where the statements came from that appear to be coming from Maya's notes that he then took from Maya's notes and then recorded in a summary later undated. I don't know how this
That,
lengthy
that
exercise.
seems to be an argument
Okay, I
as to the
apologize.
circumstances and trustworthiness and all that good stuff.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kowalski.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
just stick with Friday, December 2nd, 2016. If you look at trial exhibit 2380-013, what, if anything, did Maya tell you that was transcribed? What did she tell you in the way of abuse that was transcribed into a document? This one.
Maya stated that Catherine had brought her to the chapel, placed Maya on her lap, and I said, I know I'm not your mom, but I will.
Your Honor, I object.
I mentioned this earlier.
He's reading the note.
I mentioned this earlier without reading it.
Just tell us what you remember she said.
Oh, I remember Maya very upset that Kathy Beatty put her on her lap. I remember her saying that her mom's in a mental home getting treatment, or in a hospital getting mental treatment. Kathy Beatty placed her on her lap, kissed her, stroking her hair, and said that she could be her mom, and then that she wanted to adopt her.
And did Maya state these directly to you, or did you just simply take a note?
No, she told me about it. And the problem with that is if I lose my temper in there, I'm going to lose my privileges. So I had to keep my cool, and it was very difficult to do so.
And again, would Maya repeat to you incidents that had happened earlier in this Friday, December 2nd, 2016 date visit?
Yes.
Anything else you can remember her stating that might fall within 2380-013? And then just tell us what she said.
I mentioned about the computer.
All right, just take it down. All right,
Yeah, right on the top of my head,
all right.
I'm sorry.
Substantially the same as what you've already told the judge she told you,
Yes.
your witness. And again, was this voluntary?
Yes, it was.
And was it your routine to transcribe these at or near the time?
Yes.
Your witness.
Mr. Shapiro, any?
I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I would just like to point out from the legal analysis.
Can I ask a couple questions first? Just,
Absolutely.
I want to finish the testimony and then we can talk about it. So, I guess the additional statements that I wrote down in my notes that you contend Maya told you was that Maya told you that, was it Catherine Beatty told her that her mom was getting mental treatment?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And it was Catherine Beatty, Maya said it was Catherine Beatty that told Maya that she, being Kathy Beatty, wanted to adopt her, meaning Maya.
That is correct.
And Maya told you that.
Yes, sir.
And did Maya also tell you that it was Catherine Beatty that questioned her and made the statement about this using the computer and are you on like a sex website or something?
Yes,
like that?
Your Honor. Yes, that's true.
And you also said that Maya said, and I just want to make sure that Maya told this to you as opposed to someone else. Did Maya tell you that Maya was scared of challenging Kathy Beatty?
Yes, she.
When did she tell you that?
I don't know the date, sir, but she was very scared of her. She did not like her.
And how about the statements about not being able to come to court if she didn't comply with Miss Beatty's statements? Was that to you?
She did say that to me in time. I don't know
Now, when
when.
you say in time, was that?
Well, it wasn't on that date.
It doesn't matter if
Okay.
it was on that date, but tell me, to the best of your memory, sitting here right now, when she told you that, and tell me the circumstances of those discussions.
I honestly could not tell you the date or approximate date.
Try a
But,
month, Jack.
Sorry.
She did. She brought that up many times.
And has Maya told you about the photographing issues?
She did.
Tell me the first time, if there were more than one, tell me the first time Maya told you.
I know it was when she was still in the hospital. That would have been after that date. I don't know the exact date, but we were informed of it. Don't
say we were informed. Tell me what Maya told you.
Maya told me that she was held down by an individual, and Kathy Beatty said, we have to take these pictures before you go with your Uncle Scotty. That's the brother that transported her from Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital to the courthouse in Sarasota. Maya stated that she did not want her to do it, and she basically said, if you want to go to court, you have to let us do this. Maya said it was very disturbing.
And the first time that Maya told you this, who else was present?
I honestly don't know. Usually it was myself visiting or with Kyle, but I don't believe Kyle heard that.
And was this before or after your wife died?
That would have been before. I'm sorry. It might not have been before. If this was on the 6th. You know what? It could have been. It could have been.
Defense, any further questions?
No, I would just point out to the answer is no.
Okay. Any further questions for this witness?
Just one. Jack, that last question from the court was perhaps a bit vague to you. The photographing incident, was that before or after Beata passed away?
Well, that's what I was trying to think. The court date was on the 6th. I'm trying to think if I visited her on the 7th. That's what I'm trying to figure out, if I visited Maya on the 7th. Well, I could look real quick if you don't mind. But it may have been after. I honestly don't know offhand right now.
Was the photo, so you don't know as you sit here whether or not the Maya's direct report to you
I believe it was after.
When you say after Beata's
I believe so, because I would have to look, but that sounds about right.
But I heard you earlier say,
I object to the leading, Your Honor.
Just go ahead and answer.
Ask
the question.
But it was reported to you while Maya was still in the hospital.
Oh, yes, it was.
Is it your testimony then that would have been reported to you sometime between January 7th
And the 13th? Yes.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Mr.
State your name for the record, please.
Jack Kowalski?
Mr. Kowalski, were you here this past Thursday when the deposition of Kathy Beatty was played concerning certain alleged conversations?
I was.
Can you tell the jury whether you ever gave Kathy Beatty permission in any way to touch your child,
Absolutely not.
undress your child,
No.
photograph your child,
No.
put Maya on her lap,
No.
hug your child,
No.
kiss your child,
No.
say anything to your child in any way having to do with sex
No.
Objection.
or video?
Objection. Move to strike out.
No.
Other than the transfer form in evidence to Nemours for Munchausen by proxy as the reason, did Johns Hopkins ever present you with any other attempts to transfer Maya out of there?
I didn't understand that. Could you repeat that?
Was the Nemours transfer form the only one you saw
I had never seen a transfer form.
from Nemours?
I did not.
You did not see it?
No.
And did you ever have any discussions with Kathy Beatty having anything to do with her, quote, providing Maya comfort?
No.
And at any point, Mr. Kowalski, was it ever brought to your attention that there was an ongoing plan to separate you and Mrs. Kowalski and Kyle Kowalski from Maya Kowalski through adoption or foster care?
Objection. Mischaracterization. Foundation.
I'm going to say that you need to rephrase.
Sure. What, if anything, did Johns Hopkins, anyone there, ever tell you about in early November of 2016 a plan or goal of transferring Maya into foster care?
I was not aware of that.
Show, if we could, in evidence 1001-3795. And Mr. Kowalski, will you note the date there under the psychological progress note? What is the date? It's in the middle of the page.
Oh, in the middle, I'm sorry. 11/2 of 2016.
So, how long then after your admission, or Maya's admission, on October 7th of 2016 was this memo? How many weeks?
No, that's almost a month. Pretty close to it.
Can we see the next page? 3796. If we can enlarge. There at the top, if you'd please review what has been marked into evidence. Now, did Dr. Katzenstein or anyone at Johns Hopkins inform you that within a month there was a plan to transfer your daughter into, quote, therapeutic foster care setting?
Objection. Mischaracterization. Foundation.
Sustained.
Were you ever made aware of what is stated in the interval history here?
Same objection.
Overruled.
No, I was not.
When various things, strike it. Did you make notes on or during the time of Maya's stay there, in which you documented some of the things happening?
I did.
Do you remember every single one of them, or specifically?
There's quite a bit of things, so it'd be kind of hard to.
Would it refresh your recollection to see a note from that time?
That'd be great.
Your Honor, for the record, this is 2380.
We're going to refresh his recollection. We're going to only show it to him and not the
Right.
jury. Okay, now it can be put up.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. For the record, this is 2380-013. May I approach? Or do you already have a copy of this?
I do not have it with me.
Can I borrow your copy?
Can you take it down for a second? Is this an evidence,
No, Your Honor, this is simply to refresh. This is marked for ID.
Mr. Reyes, for whatever, I guess how you two have split this up, I just saw it up on the gallery TV and I have turned that off, so I'm going to need you to switch over to your table left and then run it that way. I'm sorry, we'll have to reset it. I can't have it go up to the gallery monitor.
May it please the Court?
Right, but it's going to take Mr. Reyes a moment to change out some cables.
May it please the Court? May I continue? Mr. Kowalski, will you please review 2380-013?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection as to what notes you made and what you were told at the time about Maya Kowalski's treatment?
Yes, sir.
And what you observed?
Yes.
Maya Kowalski's treatment. What is the first point there that was of concern regarding Ms. Beatty's?
I just took it down. If it's being used to refresh his recollection,
I understand.
so I just took it down.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. You can continue.
What, if anything, did Ms. Beatty tell Maya about Beata, your wife, and mental treatment?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Overruled.
I remember one time I came in there and Maya asked me, she asked if Mom was in a mental hospital, and I asked her why would you come up with that, and she stated that the social worker Kathy Beatty told Maya that her mom's getting mental treatment. I was outraged.
Was that true in any way, shape, or form?
No,
at that time?
no, it was not.
And what, if anything, did you learn as to Ms. Beatty's involvement with Maya about comforting her?
There was more than one time. She states that, Maya, when I say she, Maya stated that Kathy Beatty would place Maya on her lap, stroke her hair. There was a time she said, "I know I'm not your mother, but I can be." She kissed her on the cheek. Maya was not acceptable of having that done. It was very disturbing to hear this. And
What, if anything, did you learn about Kathy Beatty's behavior during supervised phone calls?
Maya would state, while speaking with her mom, that was a special time for both of them to get to talk to each other. Kathy Beatty be supervising it. She would have her phone on the bed. And while Mom and Maya were talking about different things, Kathy Beatty be rolling her eyes or making facial expressions. Very, very destructive, for Maya to pay attention to Mom.
What, if anything, what emotions or fears did Maya have concerning retaliation from Ms. Beatty in court proceedings, or because of court proceedings?
Jack's speculation.
Overruled.
Maya stated she was extremely scared to mention a lot of things. She was worried that she would not be able to go to the courthouse or talk with the judge on the phone. So she was very worried to say certain things because she was worried about Kathy interfering with her chance to talk to the judge on the phone.
What, if anything, did Miss Beatty and or the nurses attending your daughter tell her about her illness, as to whether it was physical or psychological?
Object, no speculation and comment.
What, if anything, did she relate the nurses were telling her about her symptoms and her illness?
Most of them said that it was all in Maya's head, and I'm sure she'll testify to that.
Now, upon being told this, did you relate this to your wife?
Yes, I did.
And what, if anything, was her reaction?
The same as mine.
Which
Very,
is?
very upset.
As you came home and told her about more and more of these things, describe for the jury how she was reacting.
Well, like any mother would, to hear something like that going on and it's not true, she was outraged. And there's nothing she could do about it.
Now, at or about the time it occurred, January 6, 2017, did you make notes concerning the preparation, if you will, of Maya for her court appearing that day?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember everything about that, or would you need?
I remember a lot of what I wrote down. Yes.
All right. Do you need your recollection refreshed, or can you just tell them?
I'll try to go from my memory.
Go ahead. Tell them what you understood was done to your daughter immediately before going to the courthouse.
Maya was finally coming to the courthouse for the first time.
And was this important to her? To get
Extremely important. She was looking forward to this day. She was going to go to the courthouse and then also be evaluated by Dr. Duncan, and then I believe a doctor's evaluation from Dr. Hanna after that. Prior to leaving the hospital, the social worker, Kathy Beatty, stated that Maya needs to strip down and she has to take pictures of my daughter. Maya was not agreeable on that. She said, if you do not get the pictures, you are not going to court. Maya cried. Another nurse came in to assist the social worker, who took the pictures of Maya.
Do you recall, immediately before we started here, seeing a birthday card, and for the record, Judge, it is 2583-007 and 008, written by Beata Kowalski to Maya Kowalski?
Yes, I remember that card.
And can you tell the court and the jury how that was delivered? Who did you deliver it to?
Well, first of all, I remember that card very, I have the memory of that card because I remember Beata. She put lipstick on her lips and she kissed the card to put the lip in, her lip marks on the card for her. I did bring that card. At that time, I brought it to Kathy Beatty. Prior to that, all the stuff went to the CPS or whoever it was. But at that time, that's later on, Kathy Beatty was doing the scheduling for the visitations and that.
So who did you hand it to?
Kathy Beatty.
Did you learn later whether your daughter had actually ever received that card?
She did not.
May we publish, Your Honor?
It's in evidence, right? Go ahead and publish.
Like I said, I remember her kissing this card.
Mm-hmm. All right. if we could, let me ask you whether you ever learned from Dr. Vos, Dr. Tepa Sanchez, Kathy Beatty, or really from any other doctor or nurse there, whether they had given Maya an internal nickname.
I heard of one.
We'd like to publish 2175 in evidence, Your Honor.
Proceed.
Yeah, just objection in terms of the time frame based on the proffer from earlier.
Understood.
When did you first learn of it?
After she was released.
We publish, I think it's 03 and 04. All right. If you could review that for us, Mr. Kowalski.
Very top one.
Mm-hmm.
Ketamine girl.
Did they ever confront you and tell you that they thought your wife taking herself out of the picture in some form would be the best thing for Maya?
Object to the statement for more.
Any doctor or nurse during this period of time at Johns Hopkins?
Same objection.
No, the only time Kathy Beatty one time asked me if I ever considered divorcing my wife. It was just a weird situation, and I said no. And I said, why would you ask that? And she walked away.
Were you aware that Ms. Vos had another mother do the same thing, apparently commit suicide in this situation?
Objection, foundation, speculation.
Sustained.
What, if anything, did you learn during this time that Ms. Vos had knowledge of a prior incident?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Do you know?
I didn't know at that time, no.
And Beata taking her own life, was this the right thing for Maya? It states there.
There's no right thing. There's no.
But the basis of this conversation was never conveyed to you?
No.
Your witness.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Kowalski.
Good morning.
Just to make sure I understand your testimony about the transfer, your testimony is that you never saw the transfer forms?
I did not.
So the rejection of transfer was made by your wife?
The rejection of the transfer was made after we read the codes and found out it was not for CRPS, it was for conversion disorder or Munchausen.
The jury will see the codes again, but if I understand your testimony, even though Nemours Children's Hospital recommended this transfer was in the best interest of Maya, and even though all children's hospital...
Objection. The predicate stating facts. Let me get your question.
Sustained.
Okay. Even though the transfer was recommended in the best interest of Maya. Cross-examination, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's fine, but
Okay. Sustained.
Okay. The rejection was made by Beata because she did not like the way it was framed about her, correct?
With that code, yes, because that didn't happen. So she was not going to accept that code on there. She would admit guilt.
She was not asked to sign a statement of guilt, Mr. Kowalski, was she?
If you sign that form and that's on there, you're agreeing with that diagnosis, with that code on there. So no, she would not agree on that.
Even though the transfer was recommended as medically necessary for Maya, correct?
Sustained.
Okay. Well, let me ask you about the questions about medical foster. You were aware that that was a DCF consideration being made, correct?
I did not know about that.
Okay. You were not aware that the question about whether whether medical foster was being made, you weren't made aware of that at the time.
Mr. Anderson, you got to let the question be asked.
I understand.
Okay. And then just only legal basis. Mr. Shapiro, what's your question?
Okay. Did your lawyers ever discuss with you whether a DCF recommended medical foster was being contemplated?
Objection calls for attorney-client privilege. Communications.
Sustained.
I'll re-ask it, Your Honor. You were never made aware during the course of Maya's treatment that there was a DCF consideration for medical foster. Is that right?
Not that I was aware of until just recently.
The talking a little bit more about Kathy Beatty, you testified earlier to this jury that you were upset that the caregivers at All Children's were being cold to your daughter. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And in this situation, you heard Miss Betty, by video, testify that she was trying to provide comfort to your daughter when she found out that DCF was not going to release her on Christmas. Is that right?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
You were here when Miss Betty testified by video.
Yes.
That the reason she was trying to comfort your daughter was because she found out that the court and DCF were not going to allow her to be released by Christmas. You heard that testimony, correct?
That's what she said.
Okay. She testified she was trying to provide comfort for your daughter after hearing that emotionally devastating news. True?
She does not have the right to comfort a girl and kiss her on the cheek and stroke her hair. I'm sorry.
You knew that Miss Betty also brought your child to the chapel to pray?
Yes, I found out about that.
Well, you certainly wanted your daughter to receive communion, true?
Not by Kathy Beatty.
Well, let me ask you about that. Is it fair to say that you never personally witnessed Miss Betty say anything inappropriate to Maya?
No, I didn't.
I'm correct. You never witnessed Miss Betty say anything inappropriate to Maya, correct?
I never witnessed, no.
Okay. The supervision of the phone calls that you spoke about earlier, you agreed, do you not, that your wife, Beata, was making statements about Maya's medical care that were not in Maya's best interests, true?
Objection.
Legal basis.
Assumes facts not in evidence and assumes those facts.
Overruled.
Say that question again.
Sure. During the period of time where your wife was calling Maya, she was calling and demanding medical treatments, and you yourself did not agree with your wife doing that, correct?
Not all the time, and my wife had the right to question medical. We still had our parent rights.
You actually told your wife to knock it off.
That was after I was told to leave the hospital.
Mr. Kowalski, my question to you, yes or no, you had told your wife to knock it off when she was calling the hospital.
Let me finish where that was, because you're taking it and putting it somewhere else. That was the day that I had to walk out of your hospital, and I was told my daughter is not under my custody anymore. I drove all the way home from St. Pete. I caught myself doing 15 miles an hour driving on I-75. I was so upset. And when I got home, my wife was on the phone talking to the nurse at the hospital. And that's why I told her to knock it off. So that's where that was. So don't put it somewhere else.
But you also told your wife to stop calling the hospital and demanding treatment even after that point, true?
That was during that time. That was that recording.
With regard to the photographs, Mr. Kowalski, you did not find out about those photographs until after Beata passed away, true?
That I didn't see the photographs. That's true.
Okay. And Beata didn't see the photographs either before she passed away,
No.
did she? You were unaware of the photographs at the time Beata passed away, true?
Say that question again. I'm sorry.
You were unaware of the photographs before Beata passed away.
I believe that's true.
One moment, Your Honor. I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Hold on, Mr. Kowalski. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Kowalski, DCF never told you anything about any plans to transfer your daughter out of your care.
No.
Did you call the insurance company to confirm those codes, the ones that were on the Nemours form?
Yes, I did.
Was there a place on that form, although it's in evidence, to see where you had to sign it as a parent in order to effect the transfer?
The transfer form, after I finally seen it, yes, there is a.
And when you walked in, Miss Beatty wouldn't talk to you much at all about what she was doing or anything, would she?
No.
It kind of went dark when you were there.
Yes.
And so during this period of time when you had your daughter taken from you in this first week without any authority whatsoever, what was the stress level between you and your wife?
What would you imagine? It was extremely high.
And during this period of time, can you tell the jury whether you and Beata maintained, by court order, the right to participate and direct Maya's health care?
That is correct.
If we could bring up Trial Exhibit 2003-001, the All Children's Health System Summary of Patients' Bill of Rights. And I'll focus you down to the sixth one. The patient has a right to be given
By the
information.
health care provider?
Right. And the next one, did the hospital guarantee you had the right to refuse treatments?
That is correct.
Anything further, Mr. Shapiro?
Just two questions, Your Honor. If we could put back up that trial exhibit 2003-001. Well, just in the interest of time, Mr. Kowalski, you saw it said, a patient has the right to refuse any treatment except otherwise provided by law, correct?
Yes.
And you were aware, because you had your own attorney as well, there were multiple orders from DCF governing what treatment your daughter could get, true?
Say that question again.
You were aware, because you had lawyers appearing before you, before the DCF tribunal, that there were multiple orders governing patient care, true?
Yeah, but we tried to leave there prior to all the legal.
Well, we'll get back into that later, sir, but let me just ask you this about the transfer. Did you ever go to either All Children's or Nemours and say, I agree to the transfer, but I disagree with one of the codes? Did you ever do that?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, members of the jury, do any of you have questions? Okay. Mr. Kowalski, the jury has a question. You said you did not see the photos we were just discussing. Did you have the opportunity to hear about them perhaps from Maya as an example?
At that time, before I seen them, yes, I was advised around that rate shortly after that, yes.
Anything further from the plaintiff?
No, Your Honor, the witnesses, may the witness not be excused, but
Nothing further.
Okay, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.